Welcome to the Popish Plot. I'm Nate.
And I'm Mike.
Today we bring you another installment of our report on G.K. Chesterton's The Defendant.
Our defense of the defendant.
And today we will be reading The Defense of Humility.
Nate, would you read one of the most delightful lines in A Defense of Humility?
Well,
and if you would do so, in all humility.
I liked the part that he started out with. In the second paragraph, he says, "It is no part of my intention to defend humility on practical grounds." Practical grounds are uninteresting, and moreover, on practical grounds, the case for humility is overwhelming. We all know that the divine glory of the ego is socially a great nuisance. We all do actually value our friends for modesty, freshness, and simplicity of heart. Whatever may be the reason, we all do warmly respect humility in other people. See, that really gets to the heart of it. Everybody is for people being humble.
We all laud humility.
I mean, nobody likes that prideful so-and-so at work.
That guy's insufferable.
Seriously.
How dare he impose on me and my imperious will?
See, that's where Chesterton really gets it. It's not so much that we are against humility. It's just that, in general, human beings are against humility in themselves.
Mm-hmm. And yet, it is only through humility that we see things as they truly are.
Yes.
So, the firecracker opening line, even before the brilliant paragraph Nate wrote. The act of defending any of the cardinal virtues has today all the exhilaration of a vice.
Yeah.
Because we have become a society that has inverted everything. Vices are treated as virtues. Virtues are denounced as vices, including humility. Instead, we live in a culture that is obsessed with self-assertion and self-satisfaction.
Yeah. If you're not prideful enough, then people are just going to take advantage of you. You're going to get trod underfoot. If you're not standing up for yourself, who is?
And yet, this has the paradoxical effect of making us smaller, of making us closed off, of making us completely unsatisfied. The cult of self-satisfaction has led to a people who cannot be satisfied.
Seriously, there are a lot of really unhappy people out there in the world today.
And it's because they have no humility.
Yeah.
So, the Supreme Court has ruled that each of us has the right to define reality for ourselves.
Yep.
Which, of course, is preposterous, because reality was reality before us, and reality will be reality after us.
Nope, sorry, I have to back the Supreme Court up. That explains why everybody else out there is an ignorant...
Including all the people you learn from?
Every single one of them.
So, the problem with a lack of humility is that you lose all sense of proportion. You can never understand something because you're not humble enough to look at things from its point of view. In the famous line, to walk a mile in another man's shoes.
Yeah, no, I really liked some of the points that he made in this essay about that. He talks about how, as we get bigger, everything else tends to get smaller. But it's like looking down on things from an airplane. He didn't have airplanes at the time. He talks about looking down on things from a balloon.
Balloons.
But when you look down on the world from an airplane, everything's all tiny but at the same time, it's really distorted. Our view of it is really distorted. Mm-hmm. The semi-truck driving down the road is just a tiny little speck, but in fact, it's this huge machine that can kill hundreds of people at a time.
Well, that went dark quickly.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. So, and this includes people also. If we presume that we know best, that we are the only one who is wise, the only one who is sensible, well, what does that do to charity?
Yeah.
Chesterton talks about the most brilliant exponent of the egoistic school, Nietzsche, with deadly and honorable logic, admitted that the philosophy of self-satisfaction led to looking down upon the weak. the cowardly, and the ignorant. So, we've gotten to the point where we say whose life is worth living and whose life isn't. Because if I look at you and I can't see the value of your life, well then I can decide that perhaps you should never have been born. Perhaps you should have been aborted. In the 20th century, we saw massive government programs of sterilization of those who were viewed as somehow not good enough to procreate.
Genetically inferior.
And today, we see that the majority of children who are diagnosed in the womb with Down syndrome are then aborted. Mm-hmm. Because we're saying that their lives are somehow not worth living.
No.
And it's because we make those decisions with no humility.
Yeah.
If you ask someone with Down syndrome if their life is worth living, they will tell you, yes, it is. Who am I to say that they're wrong?
And one of the assertions I like, which is from the exact same section that you were just reading from, is essentially that pridefulness does not lead to greater knowledge. He makes the comment that the claim of the egoism, or it is practically the claim of the egoism, which thinks that self-assertion can obtain knowledge. That essentially, by knowing, by making more of myself, the thought is that I'll know more of the world. When in fact, I'm actually so focused on me that I've actually shut the door to the rest of the world. And he goes a little bit further earlier on and makes the argument that by shutting the door to the rest of the world, to a certain extent, at the same time, the rest of the world shuts its door to you. You know, he later goes on to talk about how by looking at things from this higher up point of view, this bigger, this more rarefied perspective,
this supposedly better perspective,
you then fail to see the magnificence of the little things. You know, he talks about the forest of blades of grass. Mm-hmm. How if we got smaller, we would see it for something far more than what it is, far more than what we experience it as.
Think about the perspective of the Lord God. The one who has every right to look down upon the rest of us.
Yeah.
With a sense of superiority because he is, in fact, infinitely superior. And yet, the Creator is so humble that he gave up heaven. He came down to earth and was born in straw poverty.
And took on one of these disgusting bodies. I mean,
lived the daily indignity of being a human being.
Yeah.
Being hot, being cold, being sweaty, stubbing your toe, having your belly rumble because it's empty. Performing great works, healing people, and then being rejected in your own hometown because they think that you're all uppity.
Yeah.
They try to throw you off a cliff.
He did all those fancy things elsewhere. Why can't he do stuff here?
Because they had no faith.
Exactly.
Because they refused to have any sense of perspective. Because they thought that they were so great and denied what the Lord had clearly said about all the nations being gathered back together.
Exactly. If you're going to do those things here, then the very least that you could do would be to do all those things and greater right here.
Right here. So, let me invite you, as I daily invite myself, to think about humility. Which, as a very wise man once said, doesn't mean thinking less of yourself. It just means thinking of yourself
Oh, thinking of yourself less. Yes, that's the one.
Although, again, going back to an earlier essay, why should we try to tear someone else down?
Yeah.
To say, the Duke of Norfolk is no better than you? Shouldn't we instead say, you are as good as the Duke of Norfolk?
Yep. Absolutely.
And that's the sort of perspective we get when we are humble. So, in all humility, please comment below your thoughts on humility. Your thoughts on self-satisfaction. Your thoughts on, I don't know, Slurpees. Whatever.
Yeah.
We're not picky.
No. We are so humble in this endeavor that we will literally take just about whatever comment you give us.
Now it's hard to be humble, but I think we pull it off.
I think we do so very well by the grace of God.
And that alone.
So while you're down there commenting, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it, so that you will get notified when we have more content for you. Not for us.
No,
the bell is for you.
It's a service that YouTube is kind enough to help us provide to you.
Yes, and please make sure you hit that like button, because that will enable you to help us reach more people.
In all humility.
And
join us next time for A Defense of Slang.
And until next time, remember to live your faith.
Love your faith. Share that love.
The act of defending any of the cardinal virtues has today all the exhilaration of a vice. Moral truisms have been so much disputed that they have begun to sparkle like so many brilliant paradoxes.